friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a check-in on my progress for the Amazing Readathon. If you are unfamiliar with the Amazing Readathon, this readathon has been put on the past 3 years by 4 Paws in a Book. Bree has created this just amazing readathon loosely based off of the Amazing Race, and this year is my jam because instead of going to actual physical locations around the world, we are visiting locations in books, which, I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? So I wanted to check in with you guys about my reads that I've done. Were they successful? Were they not successful? Have I stayed on track? Have I submitted my books on time? So I'm going to do a halfway point because we just have passed leg 5 and there are 10 legs total. And then I'll do a wrap up at the end of the month as well for the second half of the month. The very first location that we visited was the Emerald City from The Wizard of Oz, and the book prompt was a book with a green cover. And I have added green teeth to my collection, and so what better book to read for the Emerald City than a book that is emerald, or green at least. So I have been wanting to read this ever since I heard a couple of my friends had read it, and I really had fun with this. I ended up rating this a 4.25 star. I did finish it in the amount of time that the leg gave me, and I had a lot of fun with it. I ended up immersively reading this. It is about Ginny Greenteeth, who is a creature of the lake. Ginny is an old creature. She's lived through a lot of things, and we join her in the very beginning of this book while a witch is being drowned in her lake. And Ginny decides to help her and prevent her from dying by pulling her into this cave that she has under the lake and making sure that she doesn't drown. And you follow the storyline of these two women working together to vanquish a darkness that has overtaken the town that the witch is from. And I really liked it. I liked the relationship between these two women. There were some parts at the end that I felt could have been better. I think that some of the conflict that happened between Ginny and Temperance, I think was the witch's name, I think were a little not fully developed. I wish that we could have really dug into some of the things and then seen some more growth from Temperance. But I did really love Ginny's character, and I had a fun time with the story. So it was a successful read, and I do think I will reread it. So I am happy that it is in my collection. The next leg took us to Basgiath from Fourth Wing. And for this, the prompt was a book with a violent word in the cover. And the book that I actually read for this wasn't planned. I planned to read it this month. I just didn't plan to read it for this prompt. I started with The Amalfi Curse, because curse is a violent word, and it's a book that I've been wanting to read. It popped up on Libby like just in time for this leg, and I was bored. So I ended up DNFing that, unfortunately. I'm not sure if it was maybe the speed in which I was reading it. I kind of don't think so, though. I think that the treasure hunting, the curse surrounding, the sunken ships in that part of Positano, just it could have been really immersive. There's also a dual timeline, and I was so more intrigued in the earlier timeline than I was the current timeline. But yeah, I just got bored, so I DNF'd that one, which meant I had to pick up a different book. And so I ended up picking up Love Will Tear Us Apart, which I was going to read for over the top cover because it has this like shiny mirror on the front cover, and it also has a whole bunch of little details. But tear is a violent word. So I was like, yes, I'll just use this because I both own the physical copy of this book, and then I also own the audio as well because I've really enjoyed immersively reading these. This is the third book in the Stranger Times series, which follows a news organization that researches events that are happening around the city that may or may not be supernatural, and there is like a through line story throughout all 3 of these that definitely is embedded in this storyline. So this is definitely not a series that you can read out of order. You must read them in order or you're going to be very confused. But I loved being back with this gang of characters. Bancroft, as the editor, has he's very different in this story than he has been in the past for reasons that you find out. But yeah, I think that this was really fun. So I am glad that I read this. I think I rated this a 4.25 star as well. Hold on. Yes, I did rate this a 4.25 star. I think that my favorite in the series has been this charming man, but I really did enjoy where this story took us, and I'm excited to see what the next book has in store. And I need to buy it because I don't have it yet. The next leg of the race took us to Panem from Hunger Games, and this was supposed to be an over-the-top cover. So I had a lot of different options for this. One of them was supposed to be Love Will Tear Us Apart, but since I couldn't read that one, I decided to go ahead and read Missing Pages, which, I mean, I just love this cover. It's stunning. I'm so happy to have this book in my collection. This is a collection of short stories by Mark Lawrence that features characters in the library series. And I don't think I actually rated this on Goodreads. I can't remember if I actually went in and gave a rating. If I did, this would probably be a 3.5 star right now. What I think I really need to do is I think I need to reread The Book That Broke, or The Book That Wouldn't Burn, especially, and then maybe The Book That Broke the World, and then get back into this, because I think that some of the smaller characters in the story, I don't know that I appreciated their appearances in this as much as I would had I actually been immersed in the world prior to going into this. But I do think that these are very fun stories. They are definitely stories that are for the love of books, for the love of reading. I love the author's note. I don't remember if it was at the beginning or the end, but Mark Lawrence talks about the kind of emphasis in each of these stories. And, you know, maybe we're talking about how a book can be different for every single reader, how authors you know, don't necessarily care if their books are destroyed, if that means that thousands of people are reading them. Like if they're destroyed by, you know, like people folding pages and things like that. That's what I mean. Not that they want their books to like be burned or anything, but yeah, so a lot of these stories have themes that are book related in them, and I just really appreciated that part. But I do think that I would enjoy it more had I read it along with the actual series. On this leg, I did do some sightseeing because of the fact that Missing Pages is so short. I believe this is under 200 pages, if I remember correctly. And so I did have some extra time. So I reread The Dalgadream Department Store in this. And I also read Crenshaw, which I'll put a picture of that up here. So I had two sightseeing books in this. With Dalgadream Department Store, if you haven't heard of this book, it is a whimsical story surrounding a girl. Her name is Penny, and she gets a job at the Dalgadream Department Store, which is literally a department store where they sell dreams. And you get to find out what each of the floors of the department store are, what each of the dreams that people are looking for does for them, and why. And it's a lovely story, and it's fun, it's cozy, but it's also really emotional at times as well. So if you haven't heard of this, I mean, what are you waiting for? And then Crenshaw is a middle grade story surrounding a boy whose family is in financial peril. And I think he's in the 5th grade, if I remember correctly. And he has an imaginary friend who he had when he was younger who popped back into his life. And he is trying to figure out if he's crazy because he doesn't think he should be seeing this imaginary friend, all while trying to cope with this struggle that his family is going through and the possibility that they might lose their home. It was very heartfelt and a very sad story, but also very bittersweet about a boy learning to be an adult at an age that he shouldn't have to. And yeah, so I really appreciated this story as well. That leads us to the next leg, which was the Shire. And this was a cozy comfort read. So you could choose kind of whatever you mean by cozy comfort. And I was originally going to pick up Dalgat or pick up Crenshaw, or I had a couple of options that I was going to pick up for this. But instead, I picked up randomly Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. It's book number 2. It's technically a prequel, though, of Legends of Lattes. Because I was just scrolling on Libby and I was like, what cozy books haven't I picked up that I really want to? And I am so glad that I did, because I think I was avoiding this book. I've heard mixed reviews. Some people say that they don't like it as well as Legends and Lattes, that it's just very different, and I was worried that I wasn't going to enjoy it. Sometimes prequels are hard to love, and I will say this book did have a rough start for me, because I read probably the first 20% and I wasn't understanding what was going on, but I was listening wholly on audio, and I was trying to do it like on my way to work, like while I was driving. And I just wasn't understanding what was happening. So I came home that night and I re-listened to the first 20%, and I'm so glad that I did, because it really gave me a chance to get into why Viv was in the situation that she was in. I'm not going to tell you too much about it, other than the fact that Viv is an orc who is injured at the very beginning of the story and ends up having to stay in this town, and she befriends a local bookseller. And it is just a really cozy time that has a lot of really important conversations about relationships and being maybe right person, wrong time type of a thing, which I really liked. I enjoy having a book where where it's not just, you know, butterflies and rainbows with a relationship, and that it doesn't necessarily follow a like typical romance, I don't know, scheme where at the very end, you know, you have the third act breakup and blah, blah, blah. This was very much not that. And I know that the romance wasn't supposed to be the main focus of the book anyway, so that might be why that it didn't follow those typical tropes, but I did enjoy the conversations with the relationship. I also liked the side characters that we got, and I won't tell you how it ends, but I loved the ending of this book. I love some of the callbacks, is all I'll say, to the Legends and Lattes. I won't say in what context, but that I really enjoyed that piece of it. I rated this a 4.5 star. So I am really happy that I got to it this month. It was definitely cozy. It was just what I needed while, you know, the pressures were rising. Even though I just got done doing a couple of sightseeing books, I did feel myself starting to like panic a little bit, because I think, oh no, it was, I didn't tell you guys this, Our Love Will Tear Us Apart, that book, that leg I didn't get to on time. I was late to Basgiath because that book was a little chunky, but I didn't care because I was having such a good time. So that's the only leg that I haven't made it to on time, was Basgiath. The last leg that I have achieved so far is Westeros, and this was supposed to be a chilling cover or a winter setting in a book. And this was where my reading kind of took a turn. I did decide to read 12 Nights at Rotterhouse for this. I had a couple of other books in mind that I was going to read instead, but I just wasn't in the mood for any of them, and this one was a really easy read. This follows a character who, I don't remember his name, but he's an author of a whole bunch of different books that haven't really done well, and his idea is to go and stay at a haunted house for 12 nights and have complete isolation other than his best friend who joins him, and write a book about it. And I really liked the book up until the end. There were a couple of things throughout the story that I was like, I could have dealt without that. But I liked the discussion of horror tropes and kind of making fun of haunted horror stories, and the kind of picking apart of some things that typically happen at haunted houses and why or why not they're real or not real. I liked all of those things, and it was a really easy, fun book to read. I do also have to say that the beginning of this book probably was helped a lot by the fact that as I was reading this haunted house book, I was assigned at work the task of walking around and observing, checking things in some abandoned floors in buildings. And so I'm literally walking around dark office spaces with a flashlight as I'm listening to a horror book, which is very fun. I didn't realize until about halfway through why I was creeped out, because usually, like with my job, I'm not, like, it's fine to walk around buildings that are, or some buildings that are empty. But for whatever reason, I had like this like eerie sensation. Well, it was because I was listening to a horror book while I was doing it. So of course I got kind of creeped out. It gave me the EBGBs. So I enhanced the atmosphere of this book myself. So that might be why I was enjoying the beginning of it. But I really do think that it was really light, or fast paced, not light. It's quite gory at times. But it's fast paced, and it was real action packed as far as, I do think that it's kind of meandering, which I know that those two things are opposites of one another, but I think that there is enough going on and enough conversation and dialogue about different things that could potentially happen that it piques your interest. But the ending, man, I'm not happy with the ending. I feel like it could have been what it was, except for one caveat of why it had to be that way, and it really made me mad. So that dropped my rating down. I ended up rating this a 3-star. So not like a terrible rating for a book, but I do just kind of want to chop the end of the book off and maybe end on in an ambiguous way. I think I would have enjoyed it better, but can't win everything. I can't tell you what the next leg of the race will be, even though I haven't gotten there yet, but I am headed to Ketterdam. So with Ketterdam, our book prompt is to read a book in a large city. And I didn't even think about it, but I should have gotten Six of Crows at my library for this prompt, because it is a book I want to read, but I haven't. I didn't even think about it though. But I am really excited for my choice for this. I'm going to be reading The Hexologists by Josiah Bancroft. This author has the sequel. It's actually the sequel to The Hexologist, is coming out in either August or September. I can't remember. And I would like to read this book prior to its sequel coming out, so I can just jump right into the sequel. But this is about I think it's an elderly couple, or maybe not couple, but an elderly duo who are solving supernatural mysteries. You have some ghosties and some children going missing with some like supernatural beings that I think will be a lot of fun, and I've heard really good things about it. So I am excited to get to this. I just haven't started yet. And with that said, I do need to get to The Hexologist because leg 6 has started and the clock is ticking. So these are the books that I have read so far for the Amazing Readathon. I think that it's been a really successful reading month. If you've read any of these or are interested in reading any of these, I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below. If you are not interested in chatting, but you still want to let me know that you are here, leave me something that indicates a large city to you in the comments. I would love to see what emoji you guys choose. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!